Daily cyber briefing for Wednesday, the 16th of August. I'm Stephen Ridgway. Around 2,000 Citrix NetScaler instances are known to have been compromised via a critical vulnerability. The vulnerability? Dear mornings. The vulnerability that's being exploited is tracked as CVE 2023-3519. Patches are available from Citrix. However, bear in mind that um, patching a previously compromised NetScaler device won't remove the compromise. So these devices are mainly being targeted in Germany, but there is quite a broad attack going on worldwide. Unclear how many in the UK have been hit at the moment, but Europe has definitely been being targeted, and I can see no reason why the UK wouldn't be either if people were to look. What I would say is then Mandiant have released an open source tool to help organisations to scan Citrix appliances for evidence of post exploitation activity. The link is in the Hacker News article that we will link to this briefing at the end of the briefing. So if you are using NetScaler devices, thoroughly recommend that you check out that. Firstly, make sure you keep on top of your patching. Secondly, if you've only patched recently, would very much recommend that you check for indicators of compromise in your environment, because it may well be that even though you've patched, your devices have been compromised anyway. Avanti seem to be having a bit of a hard time at the moment. I think they're the target of groups looking to manipulate mobile device management solutions. So Avanti Avalanche, which is an enterprise mobile management solution, EMM, which is designed to manage and monitor a wide range of mobile devices for enterprise organizations. There is a vulnerability that's been discovered that's been rated critical, CVSS score of 9.8. It's remotely exploitable without user authentication and would allow attackers to execute arbitrary code on the target system. The vulnerability impacts WL Avalanche Service.exe version 6.4.0.0 and older, which receives communications over TCP port 1777. Although bear in mind, even if you move the port, if the vulnerability still exists, it would be trivial to send the attack to a different port. I would be very confident of that. So the vulnerability has been known for a while, but it's been made. Some further information has been made public about this following a zero-day exploit to the Ivanti Endpoint Manager Mobile recently. So Ivanti are looking to patch and catch up with security stuff here. So if you are using Ivanti EMM, aim to get Avalanche updated to version 6.4.1 as a minimum, and yeah, that should deal with the issue. Talking of more patches needed, OpenNMS has got a bug that allows for data to be stolen and also triggers a denial of service. So NMS is a network management system. OpenNMS is one of the most common network management systems out there, used by, I mean, I've used it in the past. It's used by a lot of organizations, including some quite big named organizations. It's a well regarded, well-maintained, actively worked on open source solution, but there is commercial support behind it as well, if I remember correctly. So the vulnerability itself is an XML external entity injection vulnerability. So an XXE injection vulnerability gives attackers a way to exfiltrate data, or to send arbitrary HTTP requests to internal or external services and potentially trigger denial of service conditions for affected systems. Patches are available. So if you are using Open NMS, have a look, make sure that your version has been patched and is updated. CVE that is being this is being tracked under is CVE 2023-0871, which you can check out if you want to get some more details in this space. You may find that OpenNMS crops up in the background with other vendors' network monitoring and network management solutions. So just beware that you may need to go to your own vendors for patches rather than going directly to OpenNMS for them. There is at the moment a very wide-scale set of series of attacks being thrown at LinkedIn accounts. There have been over the last few weeks an increasing number of accounts that have been taken over either by using previously breached credentials or sometimes by just simple brute force. Hackers are basically looking to get access to LinkedIn accounts and then make change the passwords, change the recovery email solutions, and so on and so forth. LinkedIn themselves appear to be under considerable pressure to keep on top of sorting this stuff out. There have been some very well-known accounts with substantial numbers of followers that have simply been deleted as a consequence of being compromised. It is an attack that, although it doesn't look like it's aimed specifically at particular groups, has been hitting some very high-profile accounts. If your account is protected by either strong password or hopefully with multi-factor authentication, the brute force attempts may well temporarily lock your account. So don't be too surprised if your account is mysteriously locked. Then it is possible that you have been targeted by this set of attacks. By the way, if attackers get access to the LinkedIn account, they do things like turn on 2FA after hijacking the account, which makes the account recovery process very difficult indeed. That's something to think about for a future discussion. So if you are a user of LinkedIn, which very many of us are, strongly recommend that you make sure your account security settings are the way that you want them to be. Strong passwords, unique passwords, please. 2FA or MFA is very important. I can't emphasize how important it is these days to have multi-factor authentication. It's not a solution to all ills in this space, but it does greatly reduce the likelihood of being hit by this sort of broad, wide-scale credential stuffing type attacks. And then finally from me, I seem to have been running a mini series of rants and grumbles about government and security force overreach and incompetence and so on and so forth, which was never really an intention. It's just the way things have been. Norfolk and Suffolk Constabulary have said they have accidentally released raw data containing the personal information of 1,230 people um, who were victims of domestic abuse or sexual assault. Um, yes, the pause is because I'm actually struggling to find a way to express how awful that can be. Um, Even worse is the Suffolk police have said the raw data contained in an Excel spreadsheet and was hidden in the file. So it could not simply be seen by opening the files. People would require technical knowledge and know what they were looking for. I'm sorry, hiding data in Excel doesn't require technical knowledge. It is utterly trivial to unhide data. There's no indication that the data was encrypted. It's just absolutely astonishing that yet again, through a Freedom of Information request, the security forces have released information which puts people at risk. So, Northern Ireland giving out details of all of their officers is extraordinarily dumb. But Suffolk giving away details of domestic abuse and sexual assault victims is just absolutely. I'm left speechless as to how awful that is and how incompetent they must be to allow this. Yeah, okay, may have been done through human error, but the human error should not have been possible to do this sort of thing through human error. So yeah, not a good time for government agencies, law enforcement in the UK, so on and so forth. What a mess. Sorry that the article is behind a paywall. There it was the only article that popped up for me in this space. Undoubtedly, there will be further articles in free news that will come up. If you want to look into further details of this. This should give you a pointer in the right direction, even if you're not subscribed to the Telegraph, which is where I stumbled across this particular article. So that on that not so cheery note, I will draw things to a close for today. Thank you for listening. I hope you have a great Wednesday, and I'll speak to you all again tomorrow.